The Forgotten Terrans. Grand Admiral Vextora of the Orion Compact stood before the Galactic Coalition Council, his four arms folded in formal posture as he addressed the gathered representatives of the 37 most powerful species in known space. The crystalline dome of the council chamber refracted starlight across the assembled dignitaries, casting prismatic patterns on polished stone floors. Esteemed members of the coalition, Vextora began, his translator converting his clicks and whistles into the standard diplomatic frequency. Our deep space monitoring stations have detected unusual energy signatures in the Epsilon Void, a region long considered uninhabitable due to frequent quantum storms. Projected holograms materialized above the central platform, displaying swirling anomalies punctuated by flashes of coherent energy patterns. The assembled representatives murmured among themselves, appendages and sensory organs shifting in concern. High Minister Zolak of the Arthan Dominion, an ancient species of silicon-based organisms, raised a crystalline limb. Could this be evidence of the Scourge's return? We lost 3 colony worlds to their last incursion. Our analysts believe not, Vextora replied. The signature bears no resemblance to Scourge technology. From the back of the chamber came a dismissive snort. All attention turned to War Primate Crag, the massive reptilian commander of the Draknar Military Confederacy. Standing nearly 3 meters tall, his armored scales caught the light as he moved toward the central platform. You waste our time with sensor ghosts, Crag rumbled, revealing rows of serrated teeth. The Epsilon Void is a graveyard. Nothing survives there. Elder Turavan, one of the venerable Luminae, beings of pure energy contained within environmental suits, drifted forward. Perhaps not nothing. War Primate. The energy patterns bear striking similarity to theoretical works on dimensional phasing technology. Dimensional phasing. Crag's laugh thundered through the chamber. Next you'll claim these are the mythical humans returning from extinction. A ripple of amusement passed through the gathered representatives. Humans, Terra's dominant species, were little more than historical footnotes. According to ancient records, they had vanished from the galactic stage over 4 millennia ago during the Cataclysm Wars, presumed extinct when their homeworld became uninhabitable. I mentioned no such thing, Elder Turavan replied calmly. But dismissing anomalies without investigation is foolhardy. Crag's massive tail thumped against the floor in irritation. The Draknar do not fear ghosts. If the Council wishes to waste resources investigating, my battle fleet stands ready to escort your scientists. Such generosity, Vextora remarked dryly. The Orion Compact accepts your offer. 3 rotation cycles later, a combined expedition force of 11 vessels, 3 Draknar battlecruisers, 4 Orion research ships, 2 luminary observation crafts, and 2 Arthan diplomatic vessels approached the coordinates of the anomalous readings in the Epsilon Void. War Primate Crag stood on the command deck of the Sovereign Fang, his flagship. The view screens displayed swirling quantum storms and radiation fronts that made conventional navigation nearly impossible. This is a waste of military resources, Crag growled to his second-in-command. There is nothing here but... Sir, the sensor officer interrupted, mandibles clicking in agitation. Something is emerging from the quantum storms. Massive energy surge. The space before them seemed to fold inward, creating what appeared to be a tunnel of absolute darkness. From within this impossible void, vessels began to emerge, sleek, midnight black ships that absorbed rather than reflected light, their hulls bearing no visible seams or construction marks. They simply existed as though they had always been there and were only now choosing to be perceived. Impossible, Crag whispered, his usual bravado momentarily forgotten. Sir, the lead vessel is. It's massive, the tactical officer reported. Initial scans suggest it's approximately 20 kilometers in length. Our battlecruiser would fit inside its launch bay. Open communications, Crag ordered, regaining his composure. All vessels, battle stations, weapons hot, but hold fire. The communications officer worked frantically at her console. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission. Audio and visual." "On screen," Cragg commanded. A holographic projection materialized on the bridge. It showed a bipedal creature with smooth skin, external sensory organs, and bilateral symmetry. It wore what appeared to be a uniform of dark material with unfamiliar insignia. When it spoke, the ship's translation matrices struggled momentarily before producing output. "Attention unidentified vessels. This is Admiral Helena Chen of the Terran Defense Force vessel Remembrance. You have entered restricted space. Identify yourselves and state your purpose." Stunned silence fell across the bridge before Cragg found his voice. "I am War Primate Cragg of the Drakenar Military Confederacy, representing the Galactic Coalition. You claim to be human. Impossible. Humans are extinct." The figure on screen raised an eyebrow, a gesture the cultural database identified as indicating skepticism or mild amusement. "Your historical records are incomplete, War Primate. Humanity never went extinct. We simply stepped away for a time. Now, I repeat, state your purpose in restricted space." Vextora stepped into view beside Cragg. "We detected unusual energy signatures and came to investigate their source. We intended no trespass." Admiral Chen studied them silently for a moment. "Very well. Your explanation is accepted. However, this region falls under Terran protection. You will power down your weapon systems and prepare to receive a diplomatic envoy. We have much to discuss after 4,000 years." Craig's scales bristled with indignation. The Drakenar bow to no one. If you are indeed humans, a primitive species according to historical records, then you should bow to us. The Coalition rules this galaxy now. For the first time, the human's expression changed, a slight hardening around the eyes that even alien observers recognized as dangerous. "War Primate Cragg, your historical knowledge is severely limited. Allow me to educate you. When the Cataclysm Wars threatened all sentient life, humanity didn't perish. We transcended. We moved our civilization into dimensional spaces beyond conventional detection. We've observed the galaxy's development from afar, waiting for the right moment to re-establish contact. More ships continued to emerge from the dimensional rift, hundreds of them, forming a massive fleet that dwarfed the Coalition expedition. Each vessel bore the same seamless construction, varying in size and configuration but unified in their alien elegance. "Impossible," Vextora whispered. "No species could develop such technology." "Your limitations are not universal, Admiral Vextora," Chen replied. "We've had 4 millennia of uninterrupted scientific advancement, free from the resource wars and territorial disputes that have plagued the Coalition." Cragg had heard enough. "All Drakenar vessels, target the human flagship. Full weapons barrage on my mark." "War Primate." "No." Vextora protested, but too late. "Fire," Cragg roared. The 3 Drakenar battlecruisers unleashed their full arsenal: antimatter torpedoes, plasma lances, and quantum disruptors. Enough firepower to shatter a small moon. The destructive energies streaked toward the Remembrance, only to vanish 100 meters from its hull, absorbed into what appeared to be nothing more than slightly distorted space. Admiral Chen sighed, an oddly expressive gesture for such a controlled demeanor. "That was unfortunate but not unexpected. Your cultural profile indicated a 76.8% probability of aggression." She looked at something off-screen and nodded. "Defensive measures authorized." Before anyone could respond, every weapon system on all Coalition vessels simultaneously powered down. Engineering reported drive systems were offline. Life support remained functional, but nothing else responded to commands. "What have you done?" Cragg demanded, fury and fear mingling in his voice. "A targeted electromagnetic field manipulation," Chen explained calmly. "Non-destructive and temporary. Your vessels will regain functionality once our discussions conclude." Her gaze shifted to Vextora. "Admiral, I believe you represent the diplomatic arm of this expedition. Perhaps you would prefer to continue this conversation in person. Vextora glanced at the fuming war primate before nodding. That would be acceptable. Excellent, Chen replied. A shuttle will dock with your vessel in 20 minutes. I look forward to renewing humanity's acquaintance with the galactic community. The transmission ended. As the Coalition representatives watched in stunned silence, a small craft detached from the remembrance and moved toward them, the first official contact with humanity in 4,000 years. The legends had been real. Humans hadn't gone extinct. They had simply been waiting, watching, and advancing beyond anything the Coalition could comprehend. And now they had returned. Reckoning Day. 3 months after first contact with the returned humans, the atmosphere in the Galactic Coalition Council chamber was electric with tension. Representatives from all 37 member species had gathered for an emergency session, their usual protocols of precedence abandoned in the face of crisis. High Chancellor Morg Thol of the Coalition Executive stood at the central podium, his gelatinous form pulsating with stress chromatophores. Coalition intelligence confirms that 17 Terran outposts have been established throughout our territories in the past month alone, he announced, his vocoder translating his biochemical communications into standard frequencies. Most disturbing is their technological superiority, which renders our most advanced defense systems obsolete. War Primate Crag, still smarting from his humiliation in the Epsilon Void, slammed a massive fist onto his delegation's table. The Draknar will not tolerate this human infestation. While we debate, they extend their reach. I have dispatched the 7th Battle Group to destroy the human outpost in the Ta Sigma system. The council erupted in chaos. Admiral Vextora shot to his feet, all 4 arms gesticulating in alarm. You did what? Without council authorization. After their demonstration of technological superiority. The Draknar do not ask permission to defend their territory, Crag snarled. The attack commenced 6 hours ago. By now, the human interlopers have learned the true might of the Confederacy. A junior communications officer rushed to High Chancellor Morthul, whispered urgently into his auditory receptor, then backed away. The High Chancellor's chromatophores paled to almost white. War Primate, Mordthul said, his vocoder struggling to maintain even tones, we are receiving a transmission from Admiral Helena Chen of the Terran Defense Force. It appears to be a response to your initiative. The central holographic projector activated, displaying Admiral Chen seated calmly in what appeared to be a command center. Unlike their first encounter, she now wore a formal uniform with additional insignia. Greetings, Coalition Council, she began, her expression neutral. I'm contacting you regarding the recent unprovoked attack on our research outpost in the Ta Sigma system by Draknar forces. Crag stepped forward, chest expanded in pride. Your outpost has been destroyed, human. Let this be a lesson. I believe you're mistaken, War Primate, Chen interrupted, her tone unchanged. The 7th Battle Group never reached our outpost. The holographic display split, showing a second feed. Coalition representatives gasped collectively. The feed showed dozens of Draknar vessels, the pride of their fleet, suspended in space, completely immobilized within translucent energy fields. Their hulls remained intact, but they were clearly neutralized as effectively as insects in amber. Your vessels and crews are unharmed, Chen continued. However, they presented a clear threat to civilian researchers, so we were forced to contain them. We will release them once this council session concludes and provide them safe passage back to Draknar space. Crag roared in fury, but the sound died in his throat as the holographic display changed again. Now it showed Earth, the legendary human homeworld, surrounded by thousands of vessels of various configurations, all bearing the unmistakable design aesthetics of Terran craft. 4,000 years ago, Chen explained, humanity faced extinction during the Cataclysm Wars. Our homeworld was rendered temporarily uninhabitable. Rather than fight a losing battle, we chose a different path. Our scientists had achieved theoretical breakthroughs in dimensional phasing, allowing us to shift our entire civilization slightly out of phase with conventional spacetime. The display showed the Earth shimmering, then seemingly duplicating itself, one version barren and devastated, the other verdant and alive, orbited by massive ring-shaped constructs. We've existed in parallel to this galaxy. Chen continued, rebuilding, advancing, and occasionally observing. We restored our homeworld through terraforming technologies that operated across dimensional boundaries. We built a civilization free from resource scarcity and territorial disputes. Admiral Vex Torres stepped forward. If this is true, why reveal yourselves now after 4 millennia? Chen's expression softened slightly. Because the galaxy faces a threat greater than any you've encountered. We've detected incursions from extragalactic entities we call the Void Heralds. The Coalition lacks the technological capability to resist them. We've run millions of simulations. Without intervention, sentient life in this galaxy faces extinction within 3 decades. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. We don't seek dominion, Chen assured them. We seek partnership, but partnership based on mutual respect, not the aggressive posturing we've encountered thus far. War Primate Crag, unable to contain himself any longer, stormed toward the central platform. Lies. Manipulation. The humans seek to subjugate us through fear. I refuse to. His words cut off as a shimmer of light appeared beside him, resolving into the physical presence of Admiral Chen herself, somehow transported instantaneously into the secure council chamber. The Coalition's security systems hadn't even registered the intrusion. War Primate Crag, Chen said quietly, now standing directly before him. Your aggression serves no one, not even your own people. Crag recoiled, drawing his ceremonial blade, but before he could strike, the weapon turned to dust in his hand, crumbling through his fingers to the floor. Matter-energy conversion at the molecular level, Chen explained calmly. One of many technologies we've developed that you might consider impossible. She turned to address the stunned council directly. We don't offer ultimatums but choices. Work with us as equals, and we'll share technologies that will transform your civilizations. Clean energy production, medical advances that can extend lifespans tenfold, terraforming capabilities to reclaim barren worlds. Chen gestured, and holographic displays appeared before each delegation, showing data on the approaching Void Heralds, massive entities that existed partially in normal space and partially in dimensions beyond comprehension. Or continue on your current path, fighting among yourselves for dwindling resources while a threat beyond your comprehension approaches. The Void Heralds have consumed 3 galaxies before ours. They can be stopped, but not by a fractured coalition. High Chancellor Morgthal's chromatophores shifted through complex patterns as he processed this information. You offer partnership, yet demonstrate power that makes us effectively subordinate. How can this be equality? Chen smiled, a genuine expression of warmth that somehow transcended species barriers. Because power isn't the foundation of civilization. Cooperation is. Humanity learned this lesson painfully. We nearly destroyed ourselves before we understood it. She extended her hand toward Morgthal, a gesture of equality that predated human spaceflight. We offer knowledge freely given, not as reward or weapon. We ask only that you use it wisely and help us face what comes. The Void Heralds care nothing for territorial disputes or species pride. They consume indiscriminately. Admiral Vex Torres stepped forward, positioning himself between Crag and Chen. After a moment's hesitation, he extended all 4 arms in the Orion gesture of alliance. The Orion Compact accepts this partnership. We would be fools to reject wisdom because it wounds our pride. One by one, representatives from other coalition species signaled their agreement, some enthusiastically, others reluctantly. Only the Draknars stood apart, War Primate Crag trembling with barely contained rage. The Draknar bow to no one, he hissed. Chen regarded him with something approaching compassion. No one asked you to bow, War Primate. We ask you to stand with us. as equals despite our differences. Your people's strength and warrior tradition would be invaluable against what comes." She turned to face the entire council. "We have much work to do in little time. Humanity has returned not as conquerors, but as neighbors who have seen the storm on the horizon. Together, we might just survive it." As the council session dissolved into working groups, with human representatives materializing to share initial technological packages with each delegation, War Primate Crag found himself isolated, his bluster rendered hollow by the demonstration of human capabilities. Admiral Vextora approached him quietly. "They could have destroyed your fleet, yet they preserved it. They could demand tribute, yet they offer gifts. Perhaps, old friend, it is time to reconsider what strength truly means." Crag stared at the human representatives, these beings from legend who had transcended conventional limitations, while his people had stagnated in their warrior traditions. "The strongest predator adapts," he finally acknowledged, quoting ancient Draknar philosophy. With reluctance bordering on physical pain, he moved toward the human delegation. The legends of humanity had been dismissed as myth for millennia. Now those myths walked among them, offering salvation from a threat beyond comprehension. The galaxy would never be the same, and perhaps, just perhaps, that was exactly what it needed.